Hi everyone, in this video I want to show how you could use the case studies that you've already developed to personalize the opening of the cold email that you sent to prospects, choosing the case study very deliberately based on the type of company that you're sending it to, and then picking out the bullet point in the actual case study that will most resonate with the actual recipient based on their job title. Okay, I've chosen Redzone because it's a company I came across while working on other projects, and I admire the way they do things. In addition, they also have 6 case studies. It's not a lot, but it's perfect for this project. So what I'm going to do with the goal being creating a cold email opening that mentions a positive outcome from our case studies. I'm pretending that Redzone is my client, that will resonate with the prospect, given their job title. So I'm going to start off by downloading the 6 case studies and then using Claude to label them with 6 unique company traits. And I'll go through that in one moment. I'll just grab those case studies first. I've uploaded the 4 case studies, given Claude a prompt, and I first came up with these 6 categories, which some of which are no good. Like, for example, based on the inputs that I'm going to have and you're going to see in a moment, I don't know if the people are bilingual or multi-facility. That won't be in the LinkedIn description that we have. Of course, you could write a Clagent and send it out onto the internet and find out these things, but that can be hit and miss, and I think it's kind of over engineering, shall we say. So then Claude came up with these categories, and I tested these categories. You can see that here. And I found that there was too many of them that were classed as small manufacturers, and I came to the conclusion that, for example, a small manufacturer of toys does not have a lot in common with a small manufacturer of industrial steel components, and a small toy manufacturer might have a lot more in common with a large consumer products manufacturer than they do with a small industrial component manufacturer. Okay, so I refined the categories, and yeah, I did a quick test. Eventually I got to these instructions, and from those instructions I downloaded them, and I opened the project I have specifically for making prompts in Clay, and it made this good, effective prompt, which did classified all the, I used those instructions to make a prompt that would then classify the actual companies themselves into the most suitable category. So you can see that fuel oil engineers is classified as a small manufacturer and an industry under a chemical, pharmaceutical and process manufacturers. All right, so that was step 1. So we go back to the to-do list. We've done that. Okay, so then I went on and I created a list of 1,000 manufacturing companies in New Jersey and Maryland. Okay, let me just open that. So yeah, this is what you're seeing here. And I began processing them, trusting that Clay and LinkedIn that the people who put themselves in the category, in the industry type manufacturing, would be manufacturers. But after quickly checking 10 examples, it became obvious that that's often not the case. So for example, Zap comics and cards are down as manufacturing. This is Sullivan Steel is a distributor of steel, not a manufacturer of steel. So what I did was I first attempted to use keywords to rule out and rule in suitable companies who are actually manufacturers, but that was not effective, because many of them both say that they are distributors and then also say they're manufacturers, so that'll mess that up. Then others will say that, for example, they're manufacturing shelving for retailers. So if you're ruling people out based on the fact that they have retail, you're going to rule those out. So then I just wrote a cheap prompt that classified if it really is a manufacturer or not. Okay, so then I had a list from the original 1023 of something like 850 that are actually manufacturers. So that's this item and this item taken care of. So now I need to ask Claude to write a Claygen prompt that will have the inputs of company name, company URL, and the LinkedIn company description to match the prospect's company to a case study that might appeal to them, because the industry of that case study is a little bit similar to the industry that the prospect is working in. I took the instructions you saw a moment ago, gave Claude these further instructions, and asked it to create a prompt. I took that prompt, popped it in here, and ran it as a case study category 1. The problem though was too often it was choosing smaller manufacturers, any industry under 100 employees as the type of case study it should be assigned to, or the bucket it puts it in. Okay, so it's too many of the same results. So I went back to Claude, communicated this to Claude, and Claude redid it. Okay, this time it was quite good, and I used it here. Okay, I got much more variation. So now I know which of the case studies I'm going to match to the individual company. Okay. So that item is done. Next on the list was to try to match something from the case study with a goal or a value that the target company has and talks about on their website, or perhaps a service that they offer. So what I did first was I attempted to have Claude, using Claygen, go out and find something on their website that matched one of the bullet points in the case study that was selected. So for example, this Raining Rose case study, okay, it's there, has these bullet points. So armed with this, I sent Claygen out to the website of the target company to try to find something that matched with that. Quite a lot of the time it found no clear match with the first effort at this prompt. I refined the prompt and it did find less results that are no clear match found. However, when I actually dug into them, I realized that what people put on their website often is too general, too boring to be then repeated back or paraphrased when pitching somebody at that company. In addition, what the quality manager cares about may or may not be contained on the homepage. Often quality is, but sometimes not. However, what quality managers care about, you may be able to match that with something in the bullet points. So that was my second idea. So then I abandoned trying to get something from the homepage and just went to the job title to try to match a bullet point to that. Before I get to that, I had to create a list of people from the list of companies, okay? And use AI to place these people based on the job titles into 4 buckets. Let me just open that table. Where are we? Okay, so that's here. Job title buckets. So made list, was a list of about 1,000 people, all kinds of people from manager level up. And first of all, I tried to use keywords because it's cheap, it's free, to put them into the right buckets. But this broke down quite often because you might have somebody who is a director of sales, and if you put the rule that if it's director level you want to pitch them, and then you have another rule if it's salespeople we don't want to pitch them, it gets messy there. So instead I just used cheap AI to put them into the buckets. if they're bucket 1, 2, 3, they're going to get a pitch. If they're bucket 4, which is all the other specific functions, R&D, and such, they are going to go in bucket 4. So sales marketing people are going in bucket 4. Everybody else is going to get a pitch. So with this knowledge, then I went back to Claude, just Claude.ai, not the API, and I inputted the 18 different permutations, because there's 3 different buckets multiplied by 6 case studies. So you could be in bucket 1 and match with case study 1. You could be in bucket 1 and match with case study 2, and so on. And ask Claude to pick out a bullet point that matched each of those 18. Then I used a simple formula to match case study. Yeah, this one. There's no need for AI here. I just have to carefully make the formula. Bullet point from case study based on CC. Yeah. Okay, so this was quite long. So if this is 1 and this is bucket 1, output that. If this is 1 and that's output bucket 2, output that. Then there were some of them that the Claude did not think for, say, I think it was bucket 1, this one. So if the category is bucket 2, if the category is 2 and it's bucket 1, that's fine. If the category is 2 and it's bucket 3, that's fine. But the people in bucket 2 match with that case study. There was nothing suitable there. So in that case, I'd have to have a backup pitch. Okay, I didn't go through that in this case. All right, so that's then matched up. Okay, that's done. That's done. That's done. Then I had AI create the sentence. Now, the reason I didn't simply use a formula which would be ultra reliable is that these bullet points from the case study are in different kinds of formats, so they may not neatly slot in. So I thought this was good application for just an AI generated sentence. Should be quite simple, quite straightforward. So I went back to Claude and asked it to come up with a very simple sentence structure for the purposes of this demo with these ingredients, these inputs. Claude and I then had a back and forth, and eventually we settled on a structure that I then, let's go to the bottom here. It then helped me make a prompt that I was going to put in. I took that prompt, then went into my project where I make the prompts for clay, because here it's not perfect. Okay, and then put that into the here, and it produced the sentence featuring the matched case study bullet point that the person should care about. So the senior manufacturing manager here will care about changeovers, so that's what they're getting talked to about. Timing is going to matter a lot to somebody that's in supply chain, and the quality assurance director is going to care a lot about recalls. Okay, now there was one item that did get by me, but it was caught by the backup system that I have. So error checking, I wanted to use actually Claude in Clay. So far I've just been using OpenAI. I wanted another one to have a look at its work, and that did spot a problem. So if we go and we look at row 9, okay, from the case study of raining rows, if we go back here, this one, it's taking the bullet point here, okay, the assessment, right? So I asked, I'm lost, yeah, okay, so this is the case study sentence. I asked Claude to check if the sentence makes sense with the specific instruction to be careful about over-explaining or patronizing the recipient who is an experienced industrial manager. Now here, it's saying our customer rating roles achieved a 57% reduction in giveaway, which is the excess amount of product that makes it into the final package. The quality systems manager does not need to be told what a giveaway is. Okay? So that will immediately come across as either patronizing or what it actually is, which is AI stupidly created it. But luckily, Claude did catch that and went to the backup, which is the general purpose Taffy Town case study, which reduced their production lead times from 10 to 3 weeks. Okay? So that is the backup, and that is what goes into the final pitch in, I think it's the second and third sentences. So just to recap, we started off with a list of 6 case studies of my pretend client. Then we put them into, we matched them to specific types of companies. Then we took a big list of companies and matched them to the case study. Then I identified around 1,000 people to pitch, put them into 4 different buckets, with 3 of the buckets being people we would pitch who would care about this software. Then matched a bullet point from the relevant case study with the job title bucket of the person, so that the end result is, if you work in a packaging company, you're going to get a mention of this packaging customer of ours, and you're going to get fed a bullet point from the case study that resonates with the work you actually do. Okay, so if you're in compliance, you might get that line. And this is not the final version if I was actually working with this client, but it's in the ballpark and shows the kind of process here and how you can use freely available public information that's out there to send a very tailored email. There's this guy called Eric that I follow, and he always uses the framework of thinking, if you were a salesperson and you had 10 minutes to draft an email, you had 10 minutes to look around, what might you put in it? I think this might be a good example of, you're going to email a quality control person at a specific New Jersey company. You're going to look at what case study will apply to them. They're in packaging. We have a packaging case study. They're in quality control, so they might care about this or maybe something else. You could do that as well. You could add more than one example, more than one bullet point when you're pitching the person. You could even, there's other things you could do.